Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals today about the story of Milo of Croton, which is an ancient story going all the way back to Greece. If I recall, around 2,500 years ago, this was documented, and Croton being an island over in Greece. And the story of Milo of Croton is really important because it is the first documented case of progressive overload being used to make a human being stronger, at least the oldest that we have knowledge of in the Western world. There could obviously be other records in other countries and places, but this is what we know of here in the West. So, with Milo of Croton, he was the strongest man of his time period in Greece. Right, and this is around the time all the Olympic Games and everything were being started. You know, again, a lot of the stuff that we think of in the modern world, it goes back to this. This is why we call it the Olympics, right? Going back to the idea of Mount Olympus. But Milo was basically like a strong man, and he was a wrestler. And again, greatest wrestler of his time period, was considered to be the strongest man on earth, at least in the known world by everyone there. And Milo had postulated one day, as someone who was himself, a studier of physical things in the physical body. Right? He was a student of these things. Milo thought one day that if he got a baby bull, a calf, and he could pick it up, and that if he picked it up every single day, that he would get stronger and stronger and stronger. And as long as he continued to do that, that he felt that he would be able to gain strength equal to the weight gain of this bull as it grew up. Okay, so how the story then goes is that, or at least my understanding of it, is that Milo went and got this little baby bull calf, right? It had been weaned and everything, I suppose, at this point, and or maybe not, and strung it across his shoulders like a big yoke, like you would put a yoke across your shoulders, right? Or like a lot of us where we would put a bar when we squatted. So he got down under this calf and squatted it up. And you still see people in certain areas carrying calves this way. You'll see, goats carried this way in different parts of the world. Not uncommon, not even necessarily uncomfortable for the animal. So put it across his shoulders and squatted up, and he would then carry it around the little town a little bit. The city that he lived in, the small city. We would probably think of it as a village still today, but traveled around the town with this on his back. And of course, this created quite a scene. And as word of this spread, as you can imagine, people would show up to see this. They wanted to come see this man carrying around this bull calf. Okay. But what happened is he got up and carried it around town every day. Now, do we know how long? To my knowledge, no. We don't know. Did he do a few steps here and there? Did he carry it around the town for a couple hours every day? We don't really know. But we know that he did carry this bull calf around town. He was seen regularly doing this. It was apparently a spectacle. Not so much when it was small, but as it started to grow, because what Milo did is that he did this every day. By all accounts, he did this every day. So this man, this big, and again, he's already probably, to the average person, might be the biggest man they'd ever seen, at least muscularly. Right? It's a big, strong man, famous wrestler and athlete and strong man. So he walked around town with this, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew. Okay? It absolutely grew. And so over time, over the course of a couple of years, you can imagine, as this calf became a full-grown bull. Well, he had been carrying it every single day. Now, for some people say, well, I don't know how many bulls would necessarily let you do that. Well, in this case, his obviously would, because he's been doing it all the time. This bull is used to being picked up and carried by Milo all the time. It's just used to him doing this, right? So probably just allowed him to continue to do so. So what ends up happening is that then you have this grown man, and this is the story of Milo and the bull, who would come in and pick up an entire bull. And he was supposed to have at that point traveled around a little bit with it. The bull went with him when he went places. And he was documented as being seen as being able to lift an entire bull. Well, this obviously made it into history because of the time period. No one had ever heard of anything like this. This was extreme. It was insane. Okay. So all the story and the legend then spread mouth to mouth and writings, everything else of Milo and this bull. And he carried the bull around and was seen lifting the bull, and everyone knew that Milo could lift the bull. But this was also documented as how he did it because, as you can imagine, a lot of people inquired. Leaders and important people inquired, philosophers inquired, other wrestlers inquired, athletes, the people who coached and trained these different athletes inquired. And he told them, this is what I did, this is the story, this is how I did this. And again, this is then where the story of progressive overload comes from, because other people obviously took this. This became famous. This became our model for getting people stronger. Right? It became our model for it. The idea that if you, over time, progressively subject the body to higher weights, lifting heavier weights, heavier workloads over prolonged periods of time, the body adapts and the body gets stronger. Now, the primary adaptation by which it does this, once the early neural gains are gone, is through making muscles bigger. Okay? A bigger muscle has more strength potential. Now, that creates a great deal of confusion for people, as you can also imagine, because people see really strong people who are smaller than others and really big people who aren't as strong. But there's a lot more to it than that. That's, again, its own discussion. But in general, generally speaking, for you as a person, a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. So the bigger you get any individual muscle, the more strength potential it's going to have when you try to lift heavy. And we need to understand that strength potential, because just because one muscle can contract harder doesn't mean that you're going to always be good at doing it and making it contract and using it in the movement that you want to. Now that's motor skill and other stuff involved there, right? Technique, all those things. But that individual muscle at the level of the joint, absolutely. So that's the primary adaptation that we see. But again, the idea is the same. Any way you break it down, over time, chronically subjecting the human body to higher workloads will cause you to get stronger, as long as there's no issue to where, of course, something breaks or we run into other problems. Right? And this began, as far as our knowledge of it goes, all the way with the story of Milo and the bull. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.